Have you ever looked around at the fast-paced world today and wondered why some people just seem different? Not better or worse, just rare, unique. People who grew up in the 1970s and 1980s carry traits that psychology suggests are slowly disappearing from modern generations. Traits that were once common, formed by playgrounds without Wi-Fi, summers full of imagination, and life without constant notifications, are now almost vanishing. If you grew up during these decades, you might recognize yourself in these rare qualities. And even if you didn't, understanding them can offer a glimpse into a mindset shaped in a world before smartphones, social media, and instant everything. Trait number 1, independence. Growing up in the 70s and 80s often meant learning to rely on yourself at a young age. Parents worked long hours, neighborhoods were wilder, and kids, we were expected to figure things out. Imagine this: a child riding a bike to a friend's house, negotiating a tricky corner, making their own rules, returning home just before dinner. No GPS, no tracking app, just instinct, problem solving, and a little courage. Psychologists suggest this form of independence fosters what is called self-directed learning, kind of resourcefulness and confidence that is hard to teach in classrooms today. People who grew up this way can make decisions quickly, adapt to challenges, and often thrive in uncertain situations. Example story. I remember my friend Lisa's parents telling her, "Be back before dark." That was it. She didn't text, didn't check, and she learned to negotiate her own schedule. Solve problems on the fly, and yes, even deal with minor injuries without panic. That's independence that modern kids rarely experience. Trait number 2, patience. Now, this is where the 70s and 80s childhoods really shine. No streaming services, no instant downloads, no Uber Eats or Amazon Prime overnight. If you wanted a new game, you saved your allowance for weeks. If you wanted to talk to a friend, you waited for them to answer on a landline. And if you wanted answers, well, you read books, asked adults, or figured it out yourself. This patience trained your brain to value long-term rewards, trait psychologists call delayed gratification. Research links it to higher success later in life, better emotional regulation, and even stronger interpersonal relationships. Simply put, waiting taught us resilience. Story example. My cousin Tom saved 4 months to buy a cassette player. Every week he added coins to a jar. When he finally had enough, the joy of earning it yourself felt 10 times stronger than anything instant could give you today. Trait 3, creativity. In a world without screens, we invented our own entertainment. Cardboard boxes became forts, streets became racetracks, and a simple stick could become a sword, a wand, or a tool for adventure. Psychologists note that unstructured play common in the 70s and 80s boosted imagination, problem-solving skills, and divergent thinking. Kids learned to invent solutions, tell stories, and create worlds from nothing. Contrast that with today's world, where apps often provide pre-made fun. The need to imagine, invent, and negotiate play has decreased drastically. Example story. My neighbor's backyard was our kingdom. We built castles, created laws, and even had elaborate trading systems for marbles and comic books. Every day was a lesson in negotiation, creativity, and social skills that modern structured play rarely replicates. Trait number 4, empathy and deep social connection. Without social media, relationships were face-to-face, heartfelt, and nuanced. We read body language, shared secrets, and argued, but also resolved conflicts in person. Psychologists argue that growing up with direct social interactions strengthened empathy, emotional intelligence, and long-term friendships. Today, digital interactions sometimes provide instant feedback, but they rarely build the same depth of understanding or patience with others' feelings. Remember the neighborhood kids who gathered after school? They learned to negotiate, comfort, celebrate, and console skills that can't be liked online or measured in emojis. Story example. Every summer, our block organized a game of kickball. If someone fell and got hurt, the game stopped. Someone ran to get ice or comfort them. That shared care, that communal problem-solving, shaped empathy as much as any lesson in school could. Trait 5, adaptability. Growing up in the 70s and 80s meant dealing with unpredictability. No internet meant finding solutions offline. No instant customer support meant fixing things yourself. This nurtured critical thinking and resilience. People learned to think on their feet, to troubleshoot, and to keep going even when systems failed or expectations weren't clear. Psychologists today call this executive function the ability to plan, prioritize, and adjust. It wasn't just survival, it was life training. And it's a rare skill in today's generation, where convenience often shields us from problem-solving opportunities. Example story: I once saw my friend's bike chain snap halfway through a ride. Instead of calling someone, we figured out a fix using only a screwdriver and tape. That moment of improvisation? That's a skill people now rarely experience in their childhoods. So, if you grew up in the 1970s or 1980s, celebrate these rare traits. Your independence, patience, creativity, empathy, and adaptability are treasures that modern generations might struggle to develop naturally. These traits aren't just nostalgia, they're psychological strengths that continue to shape lives, careers, and relationships today. And for younger generations, there's still hope. By embracing unplugged play, real conversations, and moments of patience, anyone can nurture these disappearing qualities. After all, the brain is always capable of growing in ways we might have forgotten.